Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and it is Monday, the 23rd of May. We are answering publicly posted questions. This one is from a YouTube user named MadMock128. And of course, when I read the names, if there's ever any context to the names, I don't know what a lot of names mean. I don't know how their usernames. They're not people's actual names, so I don't know what they mean. I don't know how to say them, so please, bear with me. MadMock128 says, I just lost another job due to performance issues related to ADHD at 41 years old. The job paid $138,000 a year plus bonuses. I have researched and read that ADHD doesn't mean anything because of at-will employment. Plus, I never told my job I had ADHD. Okay. So, and I responded in text, but I want to make a video for you as well, MadMock128. And what I'll read what I responded in text really quick. You may want to research a bit further if you are being terminated due to your ADHD. For starters, you may want to speak with your medical professionals and discuss what kinds of reasonable accommodations you will need to be successful in future positions. I talk about how I'm going to try to make a video for him, and here we are. And then I provide a quote from a website, disabilityresources.org. And that quote is as follows. Many people don't know that ADHD is covered under both the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504, and, in my opinion, more importantly, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. This means that an employer cannot discriminate against someone with ADHD and must provide reasonable accommodations in the workplace. Okay. And we've done a lot of videos about reasonable accommodations. A lot. And I encourage you to search the channel and go through some of those because they may be useful. But here's the quick rundown. If you have a disability, and if that disability makes your job more difficult, impairs you in the carrying out of your job duties in some way, what you need to do is go to your doctor and say, Doc, I need a little help. I need accommodation. I need to be more successful at my job in spite of this disability. I need to succeed with and through this disability. So, Doc, what kind of accommodations do I need to succeed? And doctors are human beings. You're going to find different doctors who say different things. I'm not encouraging your doctor shop, but I am encouraging you to find a doctor who really understands your disability and really is willing to put time and thought into how can we help? How can we help, right? And listen, there's simple ones, right? If you have carpal tunnel syndrome as your disability, there are special keyboards. There are positions I don't type as much. There's many tangible things you can do. With ADHD, I've seen many individuals get accommodations for things like extra breaks, things like sensory devices or special tactics for digesting information. I've seen people receive accommodations like, I need the agenda for that meeting before we go. Or I need a written agenda for the meeting so I can follow along, right? I'm not a doctor. I do not treat ADHD. I don't know the first thing about what someone with ADHD needs. I have seen many things those people decided for themselves that they needed or that their doctors decided that they needed, right? And so I'm kind of rattling these off, not because I think these are things you necessarily need. I don't know if they are or they're not. It's more like, hey, these are some things I've seen. One, possibly good ideas, possibly helpful. Two, look at these things. These are achievable. You can get these accommodations, right? So if you're talking to your doctor and your doctor's going to say, yeah, he every 2 hours needs a 20-minute break to catch up, collect his thoughts, his or her thoughts, I should say. I apologize. That sounds reasonable to me. It really does. And it sounds achievable. So I would encourage you to talk to your doctor, find out what accommodations you need, and then the next job you have, go in and engage in the reasonable accommodation dialogue. We have videos on this channel about the reasonable accommodation dialogue. about your rights during that dialogue, about your tactics that you may want to employ during that dialogue. Search those videos. Long story short, you need to advocate for yourself. You need to say, hey, my doctor says I need these accommodations. They're all pretty reasonable. What can you do for me? And if the employer is not giving you an accommodation that is reasonable, right? If they're not saying, okay, these are reasonable, let's do it, then it's time to talk to an employment attorney, right? And listen, sometimes the employer will come back and they'll just be like, listen, this is not reasonable, right? If your entire job is like hiking trails and breaking rocks for the state's like forestry administration, and your whole thing is you got to hike these trails, carry heavy loads, and like break trail to keep the trails in good condition. Yeah, there's a number of disabilities I can think of where maybe you can't be accommodated, right? Like they're not going to be required to say, oh yeah, we're going to hire you an extra employee to carry a load for you. Probably not reasonable, although in some settings it actually could be. It depends. And it's always situationally dependent. Your specific situation is what determines if something is reasonable or not. So, no more hiding your disability from your employers. That's a fool's errand. That is just you engaging in self-harm. It's that simple. You can get mad at me. I don't care. It's you hurting yourself. Go to your doctor. Find out what accommodations you need to succeed. Go in. Inform your employer of your disability. Activate your rights. Activate your protections and engage in the reasonable accommodation dialogue and then go from there. Don't do this before you're hired, obviously. Get hired, which you seem to be good at. That was a great job that you just lost. Get hired. And then once you're hired, like, oh, and now that I'm hired, thank you very much. We got to have a quick conversation about my accommodations, right? You have a lot of protections in place. There's no reason, absolutely no reason, that you can't succeed. It's clear to me that you're a very intelligent human being. It's clear to me that you're probably good at this job. They wouldn't have hired you otherwise, right? Don't let your disability stand in the way of a happy, healthy, economically successful life. Get paid. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope I didn't annoy you. Excuse me. And if it was helpful, consider liking and subscribing. It definitely helps me to help more people just like you. Good luck.